Welcome to a special edition emergency episode of The Dissection. And I'm shooting this late at night on Tuesday, the 3rd of December, because the president has announced that he is reshuffling the cabinet. Not a major reshuffle, just a small anyana's pity reshuffle to deal with the VBS matter. You know, there was a time when we all understood that Jacob Zuma used to do things at night. Never did anything during the day. All the announcements were late at night, and they always caught you by surprise. And if you slept early, you would miss it. You'd only see it in the morning news. And it's looking like President Ramaphosa is going that direction. So an official announcement was made just a few minutes ago. As I'm shooting this, it's been a few minutes ago. This is what it says. President Ramaphosa announces national executive changes. The Constitution of the Republic of South Africa vests executive authority of the Republic in the President. The President exercises executive authority together with other members of Cabinet in fulfilling various provisions of the Constitution and national legislation. In order to ensure the effectiveness of Cabinet in delivering to its mandate and in accordance with Section 91.2 of the Constitution, I have decided to make the following changes to the National Executive. I've moved this paragraph a little bit, but the changes to the National Executive are effective immediately. I would like to wish these members of the National Executive well in their new positions. First person who's been appointed to a different position in the cabinet is Mamukolo Kubai, who is currently the Minister of Human Settlements. She has been moved to Minister of Justice and Constitutional Development. So this is the big one. So in case you're wondering, about Mamukolo Kubai and her experience. She holds a bachelor's degree from the University of Johannesburg, a postgraduate diploma in project management from Damlin College. She Bachelor of Arts, by the way, from UJ. Master's degree in public development management from the Wits University, and she completed a program for leadership development at Harvard Business School. She's currently pursuing her PhD in state-owned enterprises and corporate governance at UJ. She started her career as a community development officer in the NGO sector. She joined the financial sector at FNB as a skills development specialist, and then she worked in the business banking division at Nedbank. She then joined the public sector as a skills development facilitator at the National Health Laboratory Services. She was recruited to become a director in the office of then Deputy President of the Republic, Ms. Phumzile Mlambo-Ngcuka. She later became parliamentary advisor to Deputy President Kgalema Motlanthe. She served as chairperson of Transport Portfolio Committee at the City of Johannesburg Council. In 2009, she became a member of parliament, assuming several roles, including acting deputy chief whip of the ANC and chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Telecommunications and Postal Services. So she has a large amount of experience, and I'm very impressed with her CV, if I'm very honest. However, none of her experience is legal. Ronald Amula is a lawyer, and putting somebody who's not legal in this position, always, like, my view of cabinet appointments is that you should put people with sector experience in those particular spaces. As I like Dr. Aaron Motsoaledi in healthcare, because he is somebody who is a medical doctor and can speak to issues of a technical matter. So in any event, I don't think that this was about skills. I think it was about the scandal, because here's what's happened, the VBS scandal. The second ministerial shuffle is that Ms. Thembi Simelane, who is currently the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Development, is appointed to Minister of Human Settlements. So it's just Now, why has this happened? And this is really why this cabinet shuffle has happened. He's made two other shuffles, and these are deputy minister positions. Let me mention them briefly so that I am holistic in my coverage. But I actually I deleted that part. So let me just focus on what matters, because that's why you're here. So today, there was a lot of reporting on Thembi Simelane. In fact, Daily Maverick published something, and it looks as if they have all of the tea about her. Daily Maverick published basically a dossier showing that her lifestyle has surged in extravagance, and that she was spending 569% more than her known annual income. 569%. You know, when somebody comes and says you spent 5.69 times more than you earn in 2018, you know that they've got all your tickets, they've got all your files. And this was apparently less than 2 years after she had taken the 575,000 loan from VBS, right? Remember the loan from VBS? Not VBS directly, but from a guy who was a VBS fixer, basically. So, according to the reporting, the source of lavish funds that Simelane spent during 2018 remains opaque. Apparently, in that time, she spent at least 2.89 million. 2.89 million. However, her post-tax annual income tallied 500,000 rands in that year or in that period. Her expenses for that year included cash purchase of a vacant stand in an upmarket gated Pretoria neighborhood, a Mercedes-Benz Viano bought with cash, a family trip to Disney World, luxury shopping therapy. So Daily Maverick has the files. Don't know who gave them the files, but they have the files. And I'm a little bit disappointed in Daily Maverick. I'll tell you why. Daily Maverick should have been telling us this information in 2018 or telling us this information in 2020. But they were focused on EFF. Here you have the mayor of Polokwane who took a loan from somebody who was implicated as a VBS fixer. A mayor of Polokwane who was going to Disney World. I'm sure she posted those pictures on her social media. It looks like either they were sitting on this information or they've just decided now is an opportune time to release this information. Whoever gave them this information has a comprehensive dossier on Thembi Simelane. If I was Thembi Simelane, I'd be worried because they're clearly coming for her. They're clearly cooking the narrative now and in this case, they may not even be cooking it. They're just like showing that, no, we've got your receipts. They know what property you bought, where you bought it, Mercedes-Benz, Viano, cash, family trip to Disney World. They've got all. This is serious stuff. I'm disappointed because I would have expected them to share this information with us in the VBS EFF timeline where they were busy pushing that. Bopoli, they were pushing VBS. And I always wondered, why are we talking about VBS when ANC mayors were running the municipalities, when ANC dominates Limpopo? That has been one of my criticisms of the reporting of VBS, in that it was designed to be a character assassination of EFF. Now, we don't hear about VBS and EFF anymore, even though the affidavit, the Matodzi affidavit, mentioned giving money to Floyd Shivambu. And I'll tell you why I think we don't hear that anymore. It's because the media is more interested in dividing and escalating the tensions between MK and EFF to really focus on Floyd Shivambu as a VBS benefactor at this particular point. They've abandoned it. But anyway, back to this. This move by the president is a concession to a debate which was happening in parliament, in civil society. The issue which was raised by many opposition parties was the fact that there was a conflict of interest between her role as Minister of Justice and the accusations she was facing, especially if those accusations were going to lead to some kind of criminal charge, right? The legal principles of conflict of interest are important, right? Section 2B of the Executive Members Ethics Act says the following in the Code of Conduct. It says, cabinet members, deputy ministers, and MECs are prohibited from undertaking any other paid work, acting in a way that is inconsistent with their office, exposing themselves to any situation involving the risk of a conflict of interest between their official responsibilities and their private interest, using their position or any information entrusted to them to enrich themselves or improperly benefit any other person, acting in a way that may compromise the credibility or integrity of their office or of the government. So there were issues here that, listen, the Minister of Justice has tremendous powers over the National Prosecuting Authority, and the National Prosecuting Authority reports to her, even though the director was acting as if there's no relationship or those powers don't exist. Here's what the reality is. The director of the National Prosecuting Authority has to report to the Minister of Justice. And in the National Prosecuting Authority Act, in Section 33, which deals with the minister's final responsibility over the prosecuting authority, it says, to enable the minister to exercise his or her final responsibility over the prosecuting authority as contemplated in Section 179 of the Constitution, the National Director of Public Prosecutions shall, at the request of the minister, furnish the minister with information or a report with regard to any case, matter, or subject dealt with by the national director or a director in the exercise of their powers, the carrying out of their duties, and the performance of their functions. So she can ask about a Phala case. She can ask about any case that she likes, including a case with her name on it. She said she wouldn't do that. She was like, trust me, guys, I'm not going to do it. But I think knowing what the authority and the power is, and sometimes even the soft power, sometimes when people see that you're the boss, all of a sudden they lose appetite because you're involved intimately in various things that could affect their promotion and all of those type of things. So what it also says, that the minister's final responsibility over the prosecuting authority requires that the director shall, at the request of the minister, provide the minister with reasons for any decision taken by a director in the exercise of his or her powers, the carrying out of his or her duties, or the performance of his or her functions. Furnish the minister with information with regard to the prosecution policy referred to in Section 21(1)(a). Furnish the minister with information with regard to policy directives referred to in Section 21(b). Submit reports contemplated in Section 34 to the minister, and arrange meetings between the minister and members of the prosecuting authority. So the minister will be able to get all of this information from the director of prosecutions. Therefore, when people raise this concern that, listen, you can't be sitting in a position where you get to investigate yourself, there's a conflict of interest. The president has conceded that there is a conflict of interest. And what he's doing here, he's taking the halfway route. Because one of the options that he had was that he could remove Thembi Simelane altogether from the cabinet. That would have meant, maybe affecting the balance of forces in Limpopo politics. And that's something that he seems not to have been willing to do. So that was one option. The other option was that he move her, shuffle her out of that portfolio so that the issue of conflict of interest doesn't arise. And remember, everyone is innocent till proven guilty. Trial by media is not trial. And we must always be cautious when we see these media games being played, because there's a political game here which is happening. Thembi Simelane has got enemies somewhere. If I were her, I would be watching my back, because there's somebody who has been taking note of everything that she has been buying, spending, whatever, and has provided that information to Daily Maverick. It may very well be that her bank records have leaked or have been hacked, or maybe she was careless and then someone was able to get access to her bank accounts, download all her bank statements as far back as 2018. I don't know what happened. I don't know how they got this information. But we know when people are looking for your information, they can find it. So she's got enemies. And these enemies are feeding Daily Maverick this information. Media houses, even if they know that the information that they're being given is being given to them because someone has an agenda to maybe become minister or to become the favorite or whatever the case may be, that person, that the media house is still going to report on that. They're still going to report on it even if there's an agenda. They're not going to say, no, when you've got an agenda, and then not report on it. Even News 24, some of the information that they're reporting on Paul Mashatile, you can tell where it's coming from. So she's got enemies and she's innocent until proven guilty. But still, in as much as these issues still need to be resolved in that sense, that the legal sense, the president had to do something because she conceded various elements of the story, and various elements of the story are true. So it is what it is. She had to step down. Speculatively, I'm not saying this is what happened. Personally, one of the question marks I have is because now that Limpopo NPA has said that they're not going to prosecute anybody in respect to Phala Phala. Has she served her function and she's being thrown under the bus? It's just speculation. I don't know. But, a wise man named Pravin Gordhan once told us to connect the dots. And as I say, if the dots are connecting, then Kendrick Lamar is rapping. If the dots are connecting, then Kendrick is rapping. That's a bar. I made that bar. So, anyway, the president has conceded. Speculation aside, all of my jokes aside. He's conceded, he's taken the halfway route. He's removed the minister, but he's kept her in the cabinet, perhaps because of political issues, perhaps because that's the road that he thinks is the most balancing act road, because obviously she's still innocent until proven guilty. In between this scandal breaking and the reshuffle, as I've said, the NPA in Limpopo has said they're not charging anyone as a result of Phala Phala. I've discussed that speculation. Now, the question of conflict of interest, which has resulted in Thembi Simelane being shuffled, is also one that has been raised in respect to Phala Phala and the president. Because if you accept and you think it's correct that the minister should not have been in direct oversight of those who were meant to investigate her, because that could have a chilling effect on those investigations, that could have a material impact on those investigations, and those people that she was in direct oversight of were the NPA. The question then becomes, what happens when the president is accused and is in direct oversight of those who are meant to investigate him? The Minister of Justice, the Governor of the Reserve Bank in the case of Phala Phala, the Commissioner of SARS, and appoints the Public Protector. What happens in that instance? If we accept that Thembi Simelane should have stepped down because the accusations she was facing are serious, or if we argue that she should have stepped down, what does that mean about her boss, who also is facing allegations about having money? Not allegations. We know that he had foreign currency. We don't know how much. The allegations are around whether or not that money, which was in US dollars, was unlawfully in the SOFA, and if any laws were violated by that money being in the SOFA before it was stolen. Those are the questions that arise. But I'll say one thing in conclusion. One lesson from America and the pardoning of Hunter Biden by Joe Biden is that, in as much as we all pretend that we're equal, we are living on Animal Farm everywhere. You know that rule in Animal Farm? We are all equal. All the animals are equal, but some are more equal than others. Some days it looks like that, huh? Some days it looks like that. Anyway, what do you think? The president has made this late night reshuffle. Thembi Simelane is out of Ministry of Justice, but she's going to be in Ministry of Human Settlements. Good move by the president, wrong move by the president. What do you think? Let's have a conversation. Emergency episode, I'm working, huh? I'm trying to do this at a high level, guys. I'm working harder than Sakina Kamwendo, Clement Manyatela. I'm here, trying as much as possible to get you these dissections as quick as possible. Till the next one. Cheers. Oh yeah, if you haven't followed, subscribe. The boy is working. We're dissecting at all hours. Whatever the politicians are doing, we're dissecting at all hours. Just subscribe. About 70% of the people watching the video haven't subscribed. So if you haven't yet subscribed, just let's do it. Till the next one. For real this time. African bye-bye. It's not, you say bye-bye, and then you say bye-bye, and then you say, no, now I'm going, and then you say, okay, now I'm going for real. Cheers.